Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. I'm Michael Bain, and I firmly believe that laser engraving, like this beautiful single action from Cimarron, has rekindled people's interest in embellished firearms. But laser engraving is only a taste, only that first step, because hand engraving is where it's at. About a year or so ago, my good friend Bobby Tyler Gunworks, super gunsmith, super gun finisher, had a dream. He woke up and said, wow, great dream. Somebody should do a competition for engravers. Somebody should find the best engraver in the United States. Somebody turned out to be Bobby Tyler, and he put up $10,000. He sent out 60 plates for people to engrave, and out of that 60, he chose the top 10. Then, at a ceremony in Amarillo, Texas, with some of the greatest engravers in the country as judges, Bobby helped them pick the best. Let's meet the contestants.
Well, I kind of looked at it as an opportunity to, you work in a vacuum in your shop, and a lot of your customers come in and they're not as knowledgeable about engraving as they should be, perhaps. This was a chance to step up and measure my work and so forth against my peers. And I kind of looked at that as a challenge. I had seen photographs in magazines and so forth of engraved guns. And I was really drawn to them. And I was drawn to the artistry and the way they were laid out and everything. And I always wanted to try my hand at that.
I don't know, it's not stardom, I just wanted to do it to see if I could do it, I guess. So.
How long have you been engraving guns?
About 5 years.
So you're kind of...
guns, not quite 5, probably 3.
So you're a newcomer here, really. You're just kind of getting into this.
Green.
Why did you want to start engraving?
I was a jeweler, and to spice my jewelry up, I wanted to learn engraving. So took a class, and that's how that came about.
So next thing you know, now you're doing whole guns.
Whole guns. Yep. A lot harder than silver.
I imagine it would be. Steel is relatively unforgiving.
Yep.
So you're originally essentially self-taught.
I am. I did one thing with De Camillus and Bellino, and other than that, I'm self-taught. Except for asking questions to the many engravers you could get to talk to you back in them days. They wouldn't share the information a lot.
What was the hardest part of your working on this gun for your engraving? What was the toughest part?
Probably that little dome behind the cylinder.
So that was a hard one.
That was the hardest design, yeah. I started doing knives because that's what I got interested in, and they just kept coming. I kept engraving them, and I do a name on a firearm sometimes, and that that's nice to do that. But I just never really got interested in guns for a long time. But now we don't, with this COVID stuff going on, we just don't know what's going to happen. So I started doing some guns.
I started engraving because I was learning how to make some knives, and I decided that I would like to learn how to engrave the bolsters. Well, we were at the Dallas Safari Show, and lo and behold, there's the GRS booth. And so I sat down with Rex Peterson and walked away signing up for a class. So I took my first class and started there, never imagining that I would be engraving firearms. Then again, Rex Peterson's class came up and took that, and I thought, oh, this is actually fun and exciting, and there was a lot to learn, so that's how it all began. My real job as a veterinarian. So when I entered the veterinary world, it was definitely more man-driven than women, and so here I am again in a man world. But it's been fun. It's been I don't look at it that way. I just look at it as this is something I want to do. Doesn't matter if it's male or female that does it. I've actually gotten to learn a lot from the men. I'm not a machinist. I don't do those kind of things. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge, but a fun challenge because I do love to learn, and I'm all about that. If you try to tell me something, I got my nose right in there.
This would be a way that I could actually integrate guns and art and actually have something that would last sort of as a legacy, because then I started seeing more, once you started pursuing it and looking for the different artists. I mean, there's a huge, long heritage of engraving. And I remember, way back when, going to museums and stuff, engraving had been around for a long time. I always thought this is fascinating. But it wasn't until that time period where I started thinking, well, this is really cool. Because there's not only the mechanical elegance of a firearm and how it, just the line, how it looks and how it comes together, but then you add that another level of art on top of that. The human eye is very good at picking up flow and form and consistency and symmetry and things like that. And so if you look at something and you just kind of, you let your eyes follow and you go, oh, this looks pleasant, I like that, that's good. When your eyes go, oh, that something's wrong here, it's wrong.
I actually come out of the cowboy industry. I made buckles and spurs and conchos and all the saddle silver and things that had to do with the Western lifestyle. And I started in 1991 doing that. After 25 years, I kind of moved into firearms engraving because it just goes kind of hand in hand, the methods. And I've been gun engraving for 7 years full time. A canvas, such as a firearm like we do these days, it's meant to be a piece of art, and you work towards that as a goal. There's a zillion 1911s and a zillion Single Action Army pistols out there. But that one that is decorated with fine engraving stands out over and above all the rest. So that's where I come from in the engraving world.
And how long have you been engraving?
10 years.
10 years. What drew you to it? Why did you start?
Just the drawing of scrolls, basically. Just kind of pulled me in.
Were you a gun guy when you started doing this?
A little bit, yeah.
Of all the stuff that you've engraved over 10 years, if I said, hand me a piece that defines you, what would that piece be?
I would have to say the piece I put into this contest.
Was it fun?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yep.
We've got lots more from the Tyler Gun Works Engraving Extravaganza in Amarillo, Texas, when Triggered returns. Whenever anybody says Amarillo, the next person reflexively says, by morning.
The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. It's true, you can't avoid the struggle. It's coming. But you can control your precision. It's time to put it all on the line. Because with Crimson Trace Optics, failure is not an option.
Welcome back to Triggered. Let's meet that visionary, Bobby Tyler, and our three judges.
So if you ever wake up and you say, somebody should do this, usually you're going to do it. Or that's how it is in my life. And it's been something it's had its challenges, but I have no regrets, and we're just honored to be here and to be a part of it. Some of the greatest talent all across the United States is going to be represented here in some form or fashion, and it's been a blessing to us. I was expecting high quality, but yes, I mean it was like Christmas morning every time a package would come in. Of course, I got to do the finish work on them, and so they came back in the raw engraved, and I can let you know that every day that a package came, myself and a lot of my employees and stuff, we didn't get much done because we sat and looked at them. We're thinking that this may be something that gets done again. I don't know if it'll be an every year deal or if there'll be some sequence in it, but this is a program that we feel real strong about, and I bet you'll see it again sometime.
I'll give you all of them, but there are 5 specific areas that I went down, and I looked at each gun, and so the clarity of the cut, the design, the layout, the execution, those are things that I looked for. And this particular competition is on a Colt Single Action, and it's a pretty traditional platform. And so it's hard to put out of my mind. I'm a pretty old school person. I use my hands, a hammer and a chisel, and no power equipment to engrave. So I'm pretty traditional in terms of that. And so I had to divorce myself from that and look at these as an artistic expression. And so
I think a competition like this is important because it gives some engravers who would not have otherwise had a chance to cut a single action army gun. It gives them a chance to show what they can do. A client generally won't hand off a gun to an inexperienced engraver, and this gives them a chance to show off their work and to gain some confidence from some potential clients. So it's wonderful for some beginners. First off, really impressed with the quality across the board. There's not a bad gun in the bunch. A lot of these folks have never cut a firearm before, I don't believe, or never cut a single action army, certainly. And it's a tough gun to cut. And across the board, they're all extremely well done. Sure, there's a few that stand out, but overall, they've done a fantastic job across the board.
A competition like this promotes the art, allows new engravers to see how their work measures up against others, and also promote their own names. And thanks to the Bobby Tyler putting on this event and his sponsors, including Glendo GRS, which is the most important engraving tool company, I think this is going to be seen by a large group of people and will be good for the hobby, the trade, and the industry.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Taurus USA, designed to protect. Rock Island Arms Corps, solid as a rock. Volquartsen, engineering the world's finest rimfire rifles, pistols, and parts. And Franklin Armory, making some of the most innovative guns in America. Welcome back to Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA. It's time now to pick the winners.
Michael is the third place gun, so big round of applause. Beautiful gun, very well represented. I wish he could have been here. He really, really wanted to be here. Very well represented, and we really, really appreciate him and his hard work. Second place. Congratulations. Thank you. Since everything's bigger in Texas, we got a big check. And so our grand prize winner, number 7. Come on up. That's okay. Your hard work paid off tremendously. It was beautiful.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely beautiful.
I really, truly put my heart and soul into this.
Talk to me a little bit about the theme for this gun and how it came to you and you developed it along the way.
So when we were presented with this gun, it was freestyle. So that pretty much left it open, wide open. And so, with what's going on in the world today, I felt like, patriotism was a big part of what we all need. At least that's in my opinion. And so I kind of started jotting things down, deciding what I wanted to do, what I wanted to accomplish, and the things that came to mind were the Statue of Liberty, the Liberty Bell, the Eagle, and the flag. And so those things started getting put together in order to get on this gun. And then the rose is our national flower, and the oak tree is our national tree. And so this is how all of these things came about. I do believe in freedom and patriotism.
I have to say I really enjoyed my weekend in Amarillo, Texas, because what's better than looking at those beautifully engraved, beautifully inlaid firearms? All I could think of standing there was, there's a gun in my safe that cries out for this kind of treatment, and hey, now I know the people. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on michaelbain.tv, and we will see you next week.